which is why I also think, as a suggestion, that we can also take a leaf, or borrow a leaf from what is happening in Indonesia, where the Ministry of Education is split into two. You have Ministry of Higher Education that is linked or merged with the Ministry of Science and Technology. So in terms of funding, the private sector too, has a role to play. And that is also why I also think that we should try to implement even what we have even provided for in the National Policy on Education in 2013, that says that every contractor or consultant or service provider should be made to drop 1.5% of the fee that he gets, to a special education social responsibility fund. Yes, we have the education, we know we have the education tax, 2%, which is how, of course, how that fund gets its money. But we also need to implement this one that talks about 1.5% of consultant's fee, of contractor's fee, to a special fund for education, to augment, what is currently there. Because if you look at what we currently have, if you take the UBE, which is part of statutory transfer, and you take the recurrent and capital, what we have is still a far cry from what other countries are doing. I just mentioned Turkey. Turkey that puts aside, Turkey is a member of MINT countries, puts aside 18% of its budget on education. Ghana here, according to Index Mundi, it's important I cite the source because you don't just quote figures. According to Index Mundi, Ghana is saying that in 2014, that Index Mundi says that in 2014, Ghana devoted 21% of its budget on education. So we need to increase the allocation to education.
Professor Waleke, thank you very much. We need to wrap up this conversation at this point. We understand you're passionate about this because that is where you are in the Ivy League. Thank you very much. Or Ivory Towers, part of the Nigeria's Ivy League. Thank you very much, Professor Uche Waleke, for spending part of your holiday with us here on Channels Television Business Morning. Thank you very much, Professor Uche Waleke, Professor of Capital Markets at the National State University. We're going to touch base with you in the very near future. Let's get back to the market straight. The fixed income market opened its doors like the equities market side of the street yesterday. And again, investors started trading. If you look at the treasuries market, most of the actively traded treasuries were around 15%. And most of this, in fact, majority of this were maturing January 2019. So investors focused a little bit on the short side of the treasury market. But in terms of total a turnover, that was just about 62 billion naira. We're below our usual triple digits. But if you look at the Naira bond market, that's just about 20.6 billion. That's very strong considering the size of that market and, of course, what investors were doing. A lot of trading activities in midterm papers, 2028, 2024, 2027, and 2021. Not a single long-dated paper were among the foremost actively traded bond on Thursday when we came back. Today is the final trading day. Let's see how things are looking. Let's chase the yield curve as we say goodbye to 2018. We still have Monday, by the way, just Friday. So let's say goodbye to this trading week. Let's get Thaddeus Udegbe of UBA, who is live to us from FMDQ Exchange Place to talk to us. Thaddeus, good morning. Yeah, the market never sleeps except for public holidays. So let's change the yield curve for us during this Christmas holiday break.
Yeah, thank you. Before I take you through the yield curve, I would like to first of all take you through what played out at the interbank market this week, at the interbank money market this week, because this is the market that typically drives most of the activities that you see on the yield curve. If you look at the week open this week, the interbank market funding cost is this week to 12% and 13% levels from where they were last week at about 20 and 25% last week. This is due to the fact that FAC was paid last week Friday, and this improved system liquidity. Last week, the federal government approved about 817 billion, and about 400 billion was paid into the system. That impacted system liquidity, and that also helped to ease interbank funding costs on Monday. However, Monday, the CBN continued with its weekly wholesale FX sales, and that also impacted liquidity. Also, CBN continued with its daily open market operations on Monday, where about 40 billion was mopped up before we went into the Christmas break. After the Christmas break, yesterday being Thursday, system liquidity got a boost of about 588 billion from mature treasury bills. And of course, CBN promptly responded at the interbank market by issuing OMO auctions. About 375 billion was taken out at that auction, out of it, an offer of about 1 trillion. So market, the overall perception is that the auction was undersubscribed. So CBN simultaneously issued special OMO auctions. About 648 billion was issued at the special OMO, which to a few banks at a discount rate of 15%. So we saw the CBN sell the 1-year treasury bill to a few banks. So this is expected to further tighten liquidity today, and we expect interbank rates to remain elevated today. And if you look at how this had impacted on the yield curve, you find that for the treasury bills, which is a clear reflection of what happens or perception in the market or sentiment in the market, you find that on the short end of the yield curve, the 1-week maturity, which is the 3rd January, the yield on that which is a reflection of the fact that the system liquidity is very tight. While on the 1-year bucket, you find that the yields, there is a bit of some bid interest on that. As yield, not yield now, but as the discount rate on those tenors dropped from about 14.85% to about 14.6%.
Okay, Thaddeus Odegbe, let's leave it there for today. Thank you very much. Treasury sales from UBA Group, one of the big banks on Broad Street. Thank you so much. You do enjoy your weekend from FMDQ Exchange Place. We're going to check back with the stock market. Let's see how stocks are still bouncing around Custom Street just as we wrap up the trading week.